I have met with them this week, and it's been going good. I think that I value a lot of things that they bring to as an organization, and I would love to be a part of it if that's what it came down to.
How do you feel your game matches up with some of the other guys on the defensive line, like Max Crosby, Tyree Wilson, those guys?
I feel like just as the attack mentality, the attack play style, I feel like, that's what I do, and I feel like it would be a great thing just to, get to accompany those players on the defensive line.
Maason,
really just a bigger bodied interior defensive lineman, Chris Jones, Calais Campbell, who just retired from the Falcons, DeForest Buckner, Arik Armstead, kind of the longer guys, more in my build and my play style. No, not yet. I really value everything that he has going for him and anything in the organization. I rarely actually seen something about him that he picks players a lot about traits, and I really believe in that because you got to have a higher character level, and the best character guys are usually the best with longevity in the league.
have you thought about just the journey you've gone on from tearing the knee injury to how now standing up here and thinking about the next stage in your...
For sure, I always take into account everything, and with the knee injury, comes adversity. I've been through a lot of things, and I feel like I said earlier, my character has grown from it, and I've become a better person.
Going through a knee injury like that, a lot of players talk about they go through a season-ending injury, it changes their perspective. Maybe did that happen for you at all?
I think it really did. I think I grew up in a sense a lot more. I was 19 years old at the time. And just having to go through that tedious process of rehabilitation, I feel like I've grown a lot. And, I'm 21 now, but I feel like I'm almost a 23-year-old in mind,
A lot of people to have a knee injury, and it takes them 18 months before they're their real self.
Yes, sir.
How did you come back or sooner?
I feel like it was about the same. Towards the beginning of the season, I didn't necessarily feel that I was different, but it was more of a confidence thing I feel for me. And getting towards the end of the season, I definitely felt like a spark, and I elevated my game. I felt like I was becoming better, a better version of myself, and becoming back to getting to me.
On the field, how were you able to take such a jump this year?
I feel like just coaching, technically wise. Coming into the season, our coach Jimmy Lindsay had a brain tumor, and he wasn't able to coach us this year. They put an interim in his place that really never had any experience with the defensive front. And Pete Jenkins coming in week 7, it really helped me out. He's a D-line guru, one of the best to ever do it. So, I applaud him and thank him for everything he's really done for me and the development of me. Just the technical work that I needed, and getting back, like I said, comfortable with my knee.
Would you say 3 technique is where did you spend the majority of your time?
From my freshman year, I played the 5 technique all the way down to the 0. So, I feel like I'm a very versatile player, but I feel like definitely the 3 technique or the 5 technique is where my strong suit is.
Right. Did you met with the Cowboys?
I did. That was my first interview, yes, sir. Formal.
What did you like about that conversation, and what do you think about the Cowboys?
I like that they took a very serious approach, just for me, I'm a serious guy, I take work serious and I take business serious. So just the attack in front, getting the opportunity to play with guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Parsons, that defensive front is great, and I would love to be a part of it.
What are you trying to prove this season?
Just that I'm the same guy I was when everybody had great hopes for me. Not saying that everybody doesn't, but I'm here to show that I'm the same guy I always been.
Have you had a chance to have a formal meeting with the Lions?
No, sir, not yet.
What did
Not formally, no, sir.
Did you meet with the Cincinnati Bengals?
I did.
So, what did you like about that conversation?
I feel like, just the things that they have going on over there, they have a lot of LSU guys that's been balling out over there. So, why wouldn't I want to go to Cincinnati and, get to do the same thing as those guys?
Maason, how closely did Coach Cotton work with you, and what are the Miami Dolphins getting?
That's my guy. Kenji is definitely my guy. I actually talked to him earlier, and I did have a formal with Miami, but, having him there would be a blessing for me, just to have a familiar face in the building. And just be able to have somebody to relate kind of to you early on.
How was your conversations with Dolphins?
It was good, I felt like it was more of a brain test. I feel like they test my intelligence, and I like that because I feel like I'm a very intelligent player.
What was your playing weight this past season?
At the beginning of the year, I was close to 315, and then by the end of the year, I got back down around 305.
You started 4 games as a true freshman in the SEC.
Yes, sir.
What was that? When you look back to your freshman self.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
It was an experience, you know, and I feel like I said earlier, you know, character. I feel like it tested and went straight to my character. You know, a lot of guys wouldn't be able to do that, but somebody in my shoes, you know, I had to fill that role with injury that we had my freshman year. You know, I had to fill that role, and I was going to do everything to make it happen.
As you mentioned, you know, pros like Calais Campbell, who's your body type, as a real, you know, tall guy playing on the interior, how do you handle, you know, being it's sometimes tougher for those guys to get low, get their pad level low?
I mean, that's just, I feel like it all comes back to leg strength. And I feel like once you do it for so long, it becomes second nature.
Mason, it sounded like, did you meet with the Browns this week?
I did.
So what was that conversation like, and knowing like Jim Schwartz's scheme and how much the pass rush is emphasized?
He really just was telling me that they're very much an attack defense, and I like that, like I said earlier. And I actually think my meeting was really good with them. You know, I was able to draw up some things on the board, and I think they really liked me and what I bring to the game.
What would it be like to play alongside a pass rusher like Myles Garrett, and how much have you watched him?
I've definitely watched him a lot. You know, he's a very proficient guy, and he's a great. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer one day. So like everything that you could take from him. You know, I would love to get there and pick his brain and just be able to, you know, get on under his hip and just be able to learn from him.
Mason, what skills that you have in your arsenal right now do you think are most ready for like the NFL level?
I believe that I feel like in some way, shape, or form, I feel like everything I have is an asset to me going into the league. You know, just my length, my motor, and my consistency, I feel like will be a big thing for me in the league. I also feel like, you know, just my intelligence, the way how I approach the game is different than a lot of guys.
Mason, you keep talking about your intelligence. When you're watching film, you know, in the prep leading up to the league, what are you watching for, you know, in opposing offensive line?
It just depends. Depending on the team, I'm usually trying to look at tendencies, anything pre-snap reads that I can get before the game. Knowing more before the snap happens will help you out in the long run. Just things like that, just picking up on small things, running past keys, different back sets, you know, where the tight end is lined up, how that affects the play or what play that they were given.
Mason, you mentioned a lot about Calais Campbell, and he's played a lot of edge. Is it something you feel like you could do if asked?
I definitely feel like that's one of my strong suits. Also, you know, like I said, playing my freshman year at 5 technique was a good thing for me, and I think it, you know, broadened my versatility.
Who's next at LSU? Who we talking to next year?
Harold Perkins. Just that he's a raw ball player and he's already that good. You know, I feel like once he gets into a system in the organization, and he actually, not saying that he doesn't know football, but when he actually learns everything, the ins and outs of ball, you know, he's going to be a great.
With the Buccaneers at all?
No, sir, not yet.
How about the Steelers?
Not yet.
The defensive line position, what would you say is the most important trait?
I feel like physicality. And also, I feel like your mindset. You know, you got to be able to take a beating in there. And I feel like you got to have that mindset to want to do that every single day.
What is your decision to play for the Browns?
You know, I took a lot of things into account. Really just what I would be coming back to at the time. I didn't really know who the defensive line coach would be at LSU, so that played a big part. Just different things, different opinions that I got from different people. It all really pointed towards me going to this, getting to this place now, the NFL.
You kind of mentioned that you wanted to show people you still are who they thought you were. So
yes, sir.
What does that mean? Like, does that mean like big numbers at the combine?
I just feel like at me being a bigger guy, you know, 308 around that time, around that weight, you know, I just feel like I want to showcase my athleticism.
Defensive line at LSU, that's signature position for, you know, the number of guys that have come through there over the last several decades. When you start as a freshman and you perform the way you do, does that amplify? Does that elevate the amount of pressure you feel? What does that do for you?
You know, coming out of high school, I was a 5-star, so I've never had anything less but the expectations. You know, expectations has always been the way that I play the game. You know, you can't really worry about expectations because at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do, and you got to be you. But there was definitely high expectation about me, and I always tried to attack it and never run for it.
And you talked about the confidence, like growing this year after coming back from the injury. Do you feel like that's where you want it to be right now? Like you're peaking at the right time?
Definitely. I definitely think that the end of the year for me was a great thing for me. Just being able to get back. I feel like the last 4 or 5 games, if you look at the tape, you know, I'm one of the best defensive linemen in the country, and I'm here to show that.
How would you describe your leadership style?
I feel like I'm more of a lead by example type of guy. But definitely, if I need to talk to a younger guy, definitely take him under my wing and you know, I feel like a lot of the guys at LSU I'm very relatable to just because being from Louisiana and, you know, having the struggles of doing everything like that. So, you know, I feel like I'm more of a leader by example type of guy, though.
Was that a role that you embraced at LSU, especially as you like went up through?
Well, yes. Like I said, most of the guys coming to LSU are definitely from out of the state. So the different struggles that they come from and the different things that goes on in their mind, I can relate to it. So it was very easy for me just to, you know, tack on to them and become their leader.
When did you first start to feel the kind of weight of the expectation? Like you said, coming out of high school, but kind of where in your journey did you start to feel it?
I mean, I feel like it was expectation throughout my whole journey. You know, coming after my freshman year, I feel like there was expectation my freshman year because, you know, I'm the #1 player in the state. Coming to LSU, you know, people expecting me to be able to do what I got to do. Going into the sophomore year, I feel like the expectation was high and I got hurt. So I feel like in a sense I let people down, but, you know, things I can't control. And then coming back into my junior year, you know, I feel like the expectation was kind of unrealistic. Or not unrealistic, but anything that I would have done, it still would have been something that I couldn't reach. You know, if I would have been the best player in the country this year, you know, it's still things that I couldn't have obtained that people expected me to do.
So how did you kind of come to grips with it?
I mean, it's not even coming to grips, it's just being real with myself, you know. People are always going to have something to say about what you have going on, especially if you're doing something right. So, you know, you can't never really allow that to get to you. You got to play your game every time.
You mentioned obviously the injury, but then Coach Lindsey's